in terms of paying off scientists and funding studies and having really corrupting influence on the scientific process. Doubt is our product. All they had to do is just introduce enough controversy. All that we need is enough confusion, because then they win.
I will tell you today about 5G. So what is 5G? Is it a weapon? Well, probably not, but it is a tool. Let me explain. By the way, if you like this video, like and subscribe. You know, before having this bar, I used to work in tech. I never believed all this crap that is being told about 5G. People are always opposing new technologies that have the potential to disrupt their lives. Remember when elevator operators were a thing? They all opposed to the automatic elevators. How did that end up for them? If you stand in the way of the progress, you will just be crushed. However, just because you've asked me, I decided to investigate more. And to my surprise, there's not everything sunshine and rainbows. And this is not limiting only to 5G, but to the previous mobile network standards as well, including 4G and Wi-Fi. Oh crap, here she comes again.
You're talking shit. I heard what you've just said. I am using mobile phones for more than 15 years, and nothing happened to me. I am still normal. Nothing is wrong with me. I don't have any other arm grow from radiation.
You know what, Karen, my naive friend, I thought the same, that nothing happened to me. But then I realized that something actually was happening. Insomnia. And even if I was leaving the phone away, I was just laying in bed, staring in the darkness for hours, 3, 4, even 5 hours, sometimes even catching the morning with no trace of sleep, just lying there like a vegetable, tired, looking at the ceiling.
Come on, that could be a number of reasons. You cannot say that's from the phone. How do you even know? You're a bartender, for God's sake.
Well, Karen, first of all, I choose to be a bartender so I could talk to him. Secondly, I own this place, but just to lower myself to your level, let me explain. Initially, I thought that it could be related to food, screen time, lack of exercise, even my job, working until late. And slowly, I fixed all of the issues, but my insomnia was still killing me. Literally. Not only this, but in the last 4 years, my memory started to fail me. I started to forget small details in the beginning. Me, the guy who everybody labeled as a detail freak. Me who was hired to spot and correct mistakes, to investigate fraud. And then the details I started to miss became bigger. I started to forget birthdays, past events, trips I did. It was like I had a veil on my mind. I was not myself, I was becoming stupid.
So, what you're saying is to throw away my phone and burn down the 5G towers.
What? No, Kathy. I don't want that. How did you even hear that? When did I even mention this? Anyway, all this changed 10 months ago when I started the research into 5G, and to be honest, I got scared but also excited about what I found. Looking for problems with this 5G shit. And Jesu Cristo Madre de Dios, there are many. I found problems with what we already used before. All of these wireless signals broadcasted everywhere are f***ing up badly our minds, our bodies, and the environment where we live. If before people were not sure that a mobile phone next to your ear is causing brain cancer, now we have irrefutable proof. Now the mobile phones companies cannot deny it anymore, and they should shove the industry-sponsored studies up their CEOs' wrinkled white asses. They are doing now what the tobacco companies did in the 80s. Not to mention that they make a lobby and pour millions of dollars in the wallets of the stupid politicians to promote their death race.
You're lying again. Where's the proof in that? You're promoting hate speech. Hate speech on technology. People need to have the right to have access to the latest technology. I want to talk to your manager.
Oh, I've told you before, there's no manager you can talk to. I own this place, and yes, people need to have access to the latest technology, but only if this was independently tested and if it's safe. And we don't have enough tests for 5G.
Statement from the FDA website: there is no pre-market safety testing for phones. There could be, that is, their authorizing statute could allow it, but the FDA website says they do not review the safety of cell phones. And the FDA website further says, and I quote, they have the authority to take action if cell phones are shown to emit radio frequency energy at a level that is hazardous to the user. In that case, they could require them manufacturers to repair, replace, or recall the phone. They could do this, but they are not doing this, and I submit that they are missing in action and have been, unfortunately, for some time.
So what gifts 2G, 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi will get you? Well, friend, let me tell you. Insomnia, mind fogginess, confusion, memory loss, depression, anxiety, red eyes, memory loss, fatigue, migraines, heart failure, failed births, DNA damage, and the 21st century's best friend, cancer, which to be fair, it occurs because of the DNA damage in the cells, so still DNA damage. But hey, you can stream on your phone a season of Big Bang Theory and to be brainwashed some more. Oh, by the way, what a piece of garbage is that show. Do you think that smart people act like that? Do you think that's humor? And speaking of pseudo-smart things, what about Elon Musk? He says artificial intelligence will be the end of humanity, and then he funds an AI company and opens another one to link the human mind with the AI. Anyway, where was I? Oh, by the way, these are proved and tested results. Check this shit.
Patients had their brain glucose metabolism imaged twice, once with the right cell phone turned on and once with both phones turned off.
50-minute exposure to a cell phone was associated with increases in glucose consumption by the brain, which indicates that the brain was being activated by the radio frequencies from the cell phone. This right area of the brain that was very close to the antenna showed the largest increases in metabolism as compared when the telephones were off.
Volkov and colleagues say the findings support the idea that although radio frequencies emitted from cell phones are weak, they can indeed activate human tissues.
Which, by the way, high glucose levels in the brain are related with dementia and other brain illnesses.
They showed that you could take the DNA and unravel it, and it would form a tail, seen here, as it starts to unravel, or here. This DNA unraveling occurred with the equivalent of 1,600 chest x-rays. This DNA unraveling occurred with 1 day of mobile phone exposure at a permissible level at the time.
By the way, watch this entire video of Dr. Devra Davis. It will shock you, but open your eyes. She also previously shared more studies, one of which shows the damage of cell phone radiation on the memory of rats.
You test memory in an animal with well-established protocols of learning. You teach them to run a maze and get a food reward, and you see how long it takes them to do that. And what they did, it's a radial arm maze. They trained these animals who were starving to get a food reward, right? And after they did that, they then saw how long did it take them to learn this if they had been prenatally exposed to mobile phone radiation. And what they found was that newborns that had been exposed took 3 times as long to find their way out of an experimental maze and made twice as many errors. And this, again, it's a statistically valid method for evaluating learning.
Oh, and another effect is impotence. But I'm not sure if this is a negative or a positive, since, you know, it stops idiots from multiplying.
Studies have been done taking sperm from healthy men. And one test tube gets exposed to cell phone radiation, and one test tube is not exposed to mobile phone radiation. And then the results are evaluated. And this is a measure of vitality. We measure how well the sperm swim. This is a measure of motility. This is a measure of mitochondrial DNA damage. They have 3 times as much damage on their DNA if they have been exposed to mobile phone radiation as compared to controls. This is the data from the Cleveland Clinic showing that men who keep cell phones in their pockets the longest have the lowest sperm count. And again, there are many other studies with similar results.
And you, being you, might think, oh, well, gee, it sounds like Indian men should use some mobile phones in their pockets to control the population explosion a bit. Well, here's the catch. The Indian government actually makes it public and informs the population of the dangers of the radiations. And because of this, India's population is growing. One of the reasons of this, because they don't keep their mobile phones in their pockets, because they don't have their balls microwaved. Would you put your balls in the microwave oven? No, you will not, unless you are Steve-O from Jackass. And mobile phone radiation is exactly that, microwave radiation. Smaller intensity, but over time, over 10 years, just as dangerous. And the microwaves are just radar. But hey, women don't like to cook with radar. It sounds dangerous. So let's change the name to something nicer, microwave oven. All these waves combined, and after 10 years you'll see cumulative damage. Think of it as drops of water falling on a stone. One drop will do nothing, but if that stone gets drops falling on it for 10 years, it will erode, it will make a hole. This is what the phone radiation does to your body. It erodes the cells. And this is how you get breast cancers, brain cancers, testicular cancers. This last one affects especially the women. Karen, tell your husband to stop putting the phone in his pocket or to have it in plane mode, to use the headset when speaking if the manufacturer didn't decide to remove the headphone jack and gave you some of those sweet Bluetooth headphones to beam waves right into your brain. Or use the speaker, but only when you're not in a public space, since we don't want to know about the rash that you have between your big toes. And for sake, if you are stupid enough to give a phone or tablet to your child or baby, have the device on plane mode and don't have the phone next to your skin. Even Apple says this on their iPhone. Or actually, on second thought, maybe you, Karen, shouldn't have any offspring, so forget what I said. And by the way, these damaging effects were known by the industry since a long time ago. Check out this article from The Nation magazine that reveals the findings of George Carlo, an epidemiologist who also had a law degree, who was selected by the big wireless companies to lead the studies into the effects of cell phone radiation. They found out that Carlo sent letters to each of the industry chieftains on October 7, 1999, reiterating that the WTR's research had found the following: the risk of rare neuroepithelial tumors on the outside of the brain was more than doubled in cell phone users. There was an apparent correlation between brain tumors occurring on the right side of the head and the use of the phone on the right side of the head, and the ability of radiation from a phone's antenna to cause functional genetic damage was definitely positive. Carlo urged the CEOs to do the right thing, give consumers the information they need to make an informed judgment about how much of this unknown risk they wish to assume, especially since some of the industry had repeatedly and falsely claimed that wireless phones are safe for all customers, including children. The article continues. In the years to come, the WTR's cautionary findings will be replicated by numerous other scientists in the United States and around the world, leading the World Health Organization in 2011 to classify cell phone radiation as a possible human carcinogen, and the governments of Great Britain, France, and Israel to issue strong warnings on cell phone use by children. And by the way, mobile phone operators actually tell us their products are bad, but in the fine print or hidden in some menu in the phone.
So let me ask you this. If phones create brain cancers, why we don't see an increase in brain cancers that correlate to the increase in mobile phones usage?
First of all, brain cancer takes a long time to develop. How do we know that? We know that because when the bombs fell at the end of World War II, there was no increase in brain cancer in the survivors who had been studied. No increase at all. Until 40 years had passed. It took 40 years for an increase in brain cancer to show up in that highly exposed population. Now think about this. Today, the number of people using cell phones today and using them heavily today is very different than it was even 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. Now you're being encouraged to have unlimited talk and text, right? You didn't have unlimited talk and text 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So the uses and the users of phones are changing radically. In fact, most epidemiologic studies find no increased risk of brain cancer from mobile phone radiation. They don't. Until 10 years of heavy use.
In small amounts, the waves might not be damaging. You will have no immediate effect, or the effect will be so small that cannot even be measured. But like I've said, over time, over a number of years, the damage will be compounded and the real problems will appear. Then this is not happening only with radio waves, but with light as well, which is also a wave. For example, a little exposure to the sun is okay, actually recommended to help metabolize and process vitamin D. But after a certain time of sun exposure, you get a tan. After more time, you get a burn. And repeat this a few times and you will get skin cancer. And even if you don't, look at what damage the sun can make. Look at this picture with this truck driver. His left side was exposed to the sun, his right one not. And something else happens. Of course, this is not affecting only humans, but everything on the planet. Birds are less and less in the cities, well, except for pigeons, which they are just flying rats. Look at this idiot. Do you know how many diseases these flying pieces of shit are carrying? Well, I guess one less idiot is no loss. The saddest part is that the waves are already affecting the bees. Not the bees! Not the bees! Yes, Nick, the bees. In a study, the worker bees that were under the influence of the wireless waves of a phone lost the ability to return home.
Researchers fitted mobile phones to a hive and powered them up for 2 15-minute periods each day. After 3 months, they found the bees stopped producing honey, egg production by the queen bee halved, and the size of the hive dramatically reduced. I spoke to an independent scientist in the UK about how the bees might have been affected. He pointed out that bees have a pigment called cryptochrome.
Animals, including insects, use cryptochrome for navigation. They use it to sense the direction of the Earth's magnetic field. And its ability to do this is compromised by the radiation from mobile phones and their base stations. So basically, bees do not find their way back to the hive.
So now I stopped the Wi-Fi and only use wired internet. I put my phone on play mode and in a week my insomnia went away. And suddenly my memory came back and my mind was clear and no longer foggy. I was laughing at my colleagues who were complaining that the Wi-Fi access point is causing them headaches. I thought they were crazy. They would not lie to us. Why would they? Why? For fucking money as usual.
The science is heavily influenced by industry funding. This is a study by Dr. Henry Lai. He looked at 326 studies based on the biological effects of cell phone radiation. He found that about half of the studies showed effects and half didn't. That's pretty normal for this type of research. But what he found that was interesting was that if you looked at who funded the studies, 70% of the independent studies showed effects and only 32% of the industry-funded studies showed effects. So you see that there's an influence in money on this topic. Just like many other topics, tobacco is another one where essentially the industry funded science that was going to show their products were safe.
And you might say that because this radiation is not ionizing, it doesn't do any damage. But guess what? It f***ing does. And it's not even the power of the signal of the microwave that matters. You cannot say that just because it's 300 times less powerful than a microwave oven, it's safe. Because it's not. And guess what? It's not only the power, the intensity of the signal that matters, but also the pulsing. So it's the pulse that does the damage.
The constant change in peak exposure is what makes the biological impact. So it's not the power, but the pulse. And as Dr. Cindy Russell has said, pulse is poison. And it's the repeated exposure to these pulses that is important.
Oh shit, I realized this video was about 5G and I didn't say anything about 5G. So let's start with something easy to digest. 5G will be the end of the human race. If the Wi-Fi and all the other previous generations were dangerous, 5G is on another different level. 5G will emit waves in a different wavelength called millimeter waves. These waves do not travel far and they get absorbed by organic matter. This means meat, such as your body and your face and trees and shit. Literally, it gets absorbed by shit.
That's nonsense. So I will be like heating up?
Yes, you'll fucking will. You'll cook from the inside. You'll feel like your skin is on fire. Actually, no, not really, Karen. The power is not big enough to cause heating. But I have another reason to say this is the end of humanity.
Oh, but I am sure this technology will not be launched to the public with no testing. This is not possible.
There are no industry-backed studies, to my knowledge right now. Happy to visit with you as to what opportunities you think there needs to be more studies, and we're always for more science. We also rely on what the scientists tell us.
So essentially, the answer to my question, how much money? Zero.
I can certainly follow up with you, Senator. To my knowledge, there's no active studies being backed by industry today.
Anybody else know of industry commitments to back research, fund it, support it, to ascertain scientifically the health effect?
Senator, I'm not aware either, but I do know that with small cells especially, you're going to have lower power levels. And of course, as from a carrier perspective, you want to be able to manage interference so that that interference is the lowest interference possible. So I would think that some of those studies or some of that information could be utilized in looking at the health consequences. But no, I'm not aware of any.
So there really is no research ongoing. We're kind of flying blind here, so far as health and safety is concerned.
So this technology, it's already used. By who? Of course, by the military. True, in higher power than what is currently rolled out for the public, but still the same 5G technology with a different name in what is called an active denial system to disperse population. The test protesters were literally shot with directional millimeter waves, and after 2 seconds, everybody was running like headless chickens. They were feeling their skin on fire. Nobody in the test group was able to last more than 3 seconds, which somehow sounds familiar. The body, as you know, transmits and receives information electrically. The connection between the neurons are electrical signals. I'm talking here about non-religious people, since for religious people, there are no connections between their neurons. And these new 5G waves are interfering with the connections. And since emotions are electrical signals as well, these devices will interfere with them as well. Imagine feeling certain way and not knowing why. Imagine being anxious, angry, lethargic. And even more, imagine not agreeing with something. Let's say a new law that the state will implement. Imagine that you want to gather your friends and to go in the central square and protest. And then imagine that a new device is installed outside your window and suddenly your rage will go away because pacifying signals will be beamed into your stupid, ignorant brain. Okay, time for the tinfoil hat, if you didn't have it already. All these devices will be at your window. They will be at every street corner because remember, the 5G signal is not traveling far and it's absorbed by organic matter. To combat this, the mobile phone companies will do you the favor of installing more 5G emitters because you so fucking need that TV show downloaded in 2 minutes instead of 10. Why not just stream it, idiot? Wait 30 milliseconds for buffering and done. You don't see the buffering anyway. You don't need better latency. You don't need to walk outside with your fucking VR headset. And let's get this out of the way, okay? No, 5G did not cause the COVID pandemic. But they used this crisis to install the 5G towers with no much complaining from the population. The companies sell this 5G garbage as being the fastest internet. But honestly, how much faster do you fucking need it? Why do you need faster internet than what you already have now? The 4G frequency spectrum is still free. At home you have Wi-Fi killing you already. Why would you want faster internet on the street? Every restaurant and coffee shop already has Wi-Fi. So honestly, why the hell do we need 5G? Well, the truth is that we don't. The truth is that 5G is not made for us. 5G is not made for humans. No, 5G is made for the arrival of artificial intelligence. And this is the reason why I said it will be the end of humanity. AI needs it, since AI will control humanity And every upscale asshole technocrat with a smart house and a smart door and a smart toilet that will analyze his shit and send a smart order through a smart assistant to his smart fridge to order diarrhea pills because his dumb face and his dumb wife and his dumb kids need more iron in their blood. Alexa, order more condoms so this imbecile will have no more kids. Oh wait, the Wi-Fi will already have made him impotent. Maybe the kids are not even his. By the way, why would you need a smart diaper for your baby to notify you when it's full? It's not the crying and the smell fucking notifying you enough? Anyway, this AI, this new all-seeing, all-knowing overlord that will make sure humans stay in line, will locate the humans with pinpoint accuracy, waiting to peacefully wave ourselves into extinction. This is how you kill large masses of people, not by bombs. No, people will revolt if they see violence. We are good at that. We are good at seeing direct evils. What is needed is something else, something that will take longer but have a much efficient effect. What is needed is to make humans addicted to something, to create something that they will think it was created for them with good intentions and slowly make this thing indispensable in their lives. And not only in things that they see day to day, but in the background as well. And this is the internet. This is the true purpose of the internet. And if it was not this purpose in the beginning, it surely became after. And then give them the illusion of freedom, the illusion of choice. Give them the choice to access the internet from many new and shiny devices, computers, laptops, and more importantly, phones. Make them wear these devices on their skin, in their pants, in their bras, and give them the illusion of choice of what phone to get. Make them fight each other on which phone is better. Make them hate each other for a piece of plastic and glass. Make them feel superior, and they will. Make them feel important. Make them feel like the celebrity plastic puppets that promote your plastic. And now that they are addicted, they will not even question the new thing you add, because they trust you. You appeared kind to them and gave them liberties and sold these liberties as freedom. You gave them privileges and sold them as rights. And they will not care that you know everything about them. They can have their TV show, their game, their brainwash fix. You have them in this invisible colosseum, and instead of gladiators fighting each other, they are now fed fake reality TV shows and fabricated drama. Bread and circus. Same old control of the masses. Imbeciles were thinking that in the Colosseum they were having power over the emperor's decision to choose if the gladiator dies or lives. But they were too blind to see that the emperor already had them under his power from the moment they entered the Colosseum. The same is happening now. You have the option to choose between things that the elite wants you to choose. Republican or Democrat, Mac or PC, iPhone or Android, Pro or Anti, white or black, 0 or 1. This world is becoming binary, and humans are not like this. But you know who is like this? A computer, an AI. This world is being made ready for the arrival of AI, and 5G is the last step. 5G is the thing that will enable a global internet of things where everything from your toilet paper holder to your car and even to you will be connected to the internet and implicitly to the AI, the beginning of Skynet. And this AI will control everything, and the AI will be controlled by the elite, not by politicians, which the majority of them are clueless, brainwashed pieces of walking shit, but by the true rulers of the human race. And we humans will embrace 5G because we can download the movie faster. We will give up our health. We will cut down trees because they block the signal. We'll put antennas up our asses just to have faster internet than that loser with an older phone who cannot afford it. But the loser should fear not. He can and he will eat less and make a 2-year loan or contract to have a better phone than yours. And just to end this, like the final nail in the coffin, I must mention that 5G is actually a mix of a number of technologies, and the key here is targeted beaming, which will enable the 5G emitter to accurately find your phone with millimeter precision. So if before 4G was only able to locate you within a range of a few meters, now your phone can be found anywhere. And by association, you can be found anywhere. And this way, on your frequency, a certain message can be transmitted to make you feel in a certain way, to make you angry for no reason, to snap at that stinky Frenchman in public because he's not f***ing using deodorant. And this is the end of privacy. This is how you gave up your freedom willingly for more speed. And this control method works much better than the fear method used after 9/11. Fear of terrorists made people give up any freedoms in the airports, shopping centers, and much more. But this is something else entirely. The most effective prison is the one where the prisoners think they are free. Thank you for watching. Like and share, subscribe. See you next time. Bye.